It is a great pleasure to be in the studio today. Today I can say it's like a day that the storm it's over. And once again, we saw Cameroonians, especially those living in the city of Douala, back in the streets and going about their businesses as usual. It has not been easy, given the huge traffic, high traffic that I observed on my way here. It's like people were stopped. And today was that day that they were released from captivity. So we are happy to be here and to talk on this very sensitive topic, which I so much cherish, and I was actually looking for this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Michael Nimancho is also part of tonight's edition of the program. Good evening, Doctor. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, Mr. Liu, and happy to be a barrister on this platform again after some time. And I think it has been a long wait, and it's like we are having a new breath after all. The dust is settling, and we have learned our lessons. People have drawn their conclusions. People have argued for those who stood for, as far as the election was concerned, those who say standing on legality, those who are talking about legitimacy, those who are talking about legality and legitimacy. At the end of it all, it is close. I think it is almost close, and that we are having yet another new government system that is starting fresh today, which we are looking up to. Whether it is going to be a fair one, all of us will remain Cameroonians. And I always want to quote John Kelly in 2004 in America. Whether they are the Democrats that won, whether they are the Republicans that won, all Americans get up the next day as Americans. And I think that that's what we are getting up today as Cameroonians. Barrister has not changed to be a Cameroonian. I have not changed to be a Cameroonian. We have to face our problems head on, whatever they are. And we are happy to be here again to be talking. And I must sympathize with those who went too far, and especially those who lost their lives. May their souls rest in peace. That is how it happens. When two elephants, they fight, the grass suffers. And therefore, I think we are learning our lesson, even from the political parties, how the politicking was done all through. Cameroonians have learned their lesson. And I think that never again will we make the same mistakes. Thank you very much for inviting me, Sir Leo.
Okay, never again are we going to find ourselves in the same mistakes. We are going to look at the inaugural address by the President of the Republic yesterday as he got sworn in at the National Assembly. Yeah, first impressions after you listen to the head of state address the nation yesterday.
Yes, Mr. Liu, I will first of all start by congratulating the head of state for his inaugural ceremony and for taking up the third mandate. It is indeed
the eighth mandate.
It is indeed a world-breaking record that one president will have 8 mandates, and that Cameroon is the only only country that has a president that is above 80 or 90 years old. I think that should enter in the Guinness Books of Records and should actually showcase Cameroon as an exceptional country. Yes, when I listened to the head of state yesterday, I was first of all very impressed. Very impressed, why? Because it is rare. He is a president that is rare to hear his voice. So by the time you hear his voice, you are like hearing the voice of an angel, because angels don't come all the time. They come once in a while to come and fulfill a mission or to come and deliver a message. And I followed the promises that he made, and all of them were quite captivating. And my prayer and my wish is that the president, who is the head of state for all Cameroonians, should not only wait at ceremonies or on specific days. He should always come out and address his citizens, because we like seeing him, we like listening to him, because you see, they say the words of the old are words of wisdom. So when he comes out himself, without leaving his collaborators to come and instead of addressing situations that are intimidating Cameroonians, it will make a huge difference each time if he comes out himself. So I was so impressed that he had to make that speech. Whether he had to make it before or even after, all is that he made a speech. Else we could have been expecting to hear from him only on the 31st of December or on the 10th of February, as it is customarily done. But we thank him for the speech and the issues which he raised, which I have some salient points that I cut from the speech, which I think that I shall be analyzing it in the way that I understand it to our audience.
Okay. Dr. Ndimanchu, were you impressed, surprised? Did the speech meet your expectations?
Well, Mr. Leo, I must say that it is true. Ce n'est pas qui veut, mais qui peut. And of course, it was the President of the Republic who was able, and who is able. And one of the things I must note here is that he has not yet decided to go back to the village. And that is one of the things that resonated in his speech, that he still stands tall, he still wants to govern, he still mastered the situations in Cameroon, even though, I must say, semiologically, it is the same beautiful speech that we have always had. But now, I have always said the test of the pudding is in the eating. Mm-hmm. That if you want to appreciate somebody according to the eloquence of the speech, you miss out the point, especially a speech that comes from the President of the Republic. Because that is somebody who is supposed to master the economy of Cameroon, master the social, economic, health, and all spheres of life in Cameroon. And therefore, he knows exactly which sections to touch. But now the question that comes is this speech translated, or is it going to be translated into concrete action? Because that is what it's all about. We have listened to these speeches for 8 good times, and they are all very beautiful speeches. Because standing here to appreciate the discourse that he had, the speech that he delivered, I mean, for the 8th time, would not be something worth after discussing. I think that one of the most important things I will be noting is what would really change after this beautiful speech, because, of course, we know that President Biya is somebody who did politics, and he knows how to make this, he knows how to read a speech. And when he reads a speech, everybody is glued to his television to know exactly what, to listen exactly what he's going to say, because he articulates very well. And whatever he says with a lot of assurance, and we have always had that. So it makes us understand, true, that this is somebody who is actually, he goes at what he wants. He's very, very tenacious in his things, and he makes us understand that power is not given, power is taken, and he actually assumes the responsibility of taking again power for these 7 more years. And therefore, his speech, touching on the youths in the first place, I must say that one of the things that touched me about the speech is the issue on education. And you must know about the issues of the PhD that were suspended, about the competitive exams, the teachers' training. Of course, we are going to be discussing this. These are some of the things that touched me. And now we are going to be able to discuss to see what we think is going to change from the past that we have had. And about the beauty of the speech, I want to hail him and want to say he spoke like a politician. And I think that we really have to take him to the judgment. And he also made mention of the fact that in his first semester of, leadership, he's going to deliver most of these things that he has talked about. And therefore, we can only pray that God keeps us alive to be able to say this. And he ended by actually saying that peace will reign and order will reign in Cameroon. This was very, very, the accent that he put on this was very, very important for everybody to note. And I must say that sometimes it depends on the politician on why he should use this accent at the end of it all to say when at the moment the country is boiling, and perhaps we thought some words of peace, our appeasement are supposed to be used, but it is fire for fire at the end of it all. But then we are going to see how this is going to be done.
Yes. Now, when we followed through the political manifestos of different political parties, I don't know whether you followed what the CPDM was proposing to Cameroonians. Was that reflected in the inaugural speech?
You see,
It was
what
just- it was
CPD,
just
when
what-
we
yeah.
followed, yes, the campaign speech of the CPDM party, I had that impression that CPDM came to the end of the road, where they had nothing more to tell Cameroonians other than the old story and the old promises that they have always been promising Cameroonians. And there I had this argument in one of my forums, which I said, instead of CPDM, of us giving promises, making promises, let us go and execute action. Let the people see something done, and then we present to them that these are the projects that CPDM elders have realized, so they are canvassing for their votes, which most of them took up on me, and I was like an enemy. So I had a withdrawal from the party, because that is where I belong. But then when you come out to tie it now with the speech of the head of state, I think that the head of state always have this good mission and vision for Cameroon. It is at the level of execution that we find it wanting all the time. Now, we don't know whether those who are supposed to execute the task, they tell him the truth, they present him the true picture, or they do a kind of an AI picture, and that is what they present to him. Because as the head of state, he is supposed to develop the social, economic, and political way map and give it to his collaborators. The collaborators come back and return and present that this is what, and report on what they have done. But on the other hand, we equally expected, because I said I have my expectations, we expect that head of state that from time to time you give an impromptu and unannounced visit to some major sites to ensure execution. Take like the Olembe Stadium, for instance. We are having last year and this year, we are having there was this scandal about the Olembe Gate scandal.
The Can Gate.
Ekan Gate and all the gate scandals, the COVID Gate scandals. Why is it so? We have not heard the head of state summoning those people, those in charge, or those concerned, for a meeting, for an accountability. Maybe it was done, but I don't think if it was, we could have seen it on in the newspapers and in the media. But that is what we expect, that proactive reaction from him, and to make sure that all what he promised should not only be, should be seen to be done. Not only a beautiful speech, because those beautiful speeches have been coming all the time. Now, the one that I picked from amongst them, the promise for employment for the youths. If that project was being executed like every year, every 2 years, we will have less youths in the streets, because the demonstration in the streets came from where? From the youthful population that were idle. It could not have come from you and me or Mr. Wanmoncho, because we are, one or the other, we are employed. Me, I'm a self-employer, I've employed myself. And if others had that opportunity, others must be employed by the public service or by companies. If they had those opportunities, they would not have been going to the street. So I think that this is one of the projects that he has to see into it, that it is implemented to the latter. Just like he promised the 25,000 and the 3,000, and then that project was executed. But then, if you go into the gimmicks of how it was being executed, you have some people who have to like bribe their way in, whereas it was supposed to be a free project for Cameroonian youths, taking into consideration the number of youths that graduates from the universities every day and from other professional institutions. Mere words do not suffice, because if he doesn't make sure that those promises are implemented, we will still have another scenario of the youths in the street coming not only to protest but to destroy, because there are youths that are frustrated, there are youths that are confused, there are youths that they don't even see, in fact they feel like they have no future. But having bread on your table, or somewhere that you get up in the morning and go and you expect to have bread at the end of the month, will keep them out of trouble. So we are expecting the head of state. I think this is a decisive mandate, because this is a mandate that will take him. After this mandate, I'm not sure he's having another one, but he should go with clean records. You see, a sinner who comes to Jesus after sinning for so many years, they say the moment from Jesus, a pardon received. So much that if he does this one, then every other thing, any other mistake that he had made in the past will automatically be forgotten because we judge the present, we will no longer go to his past.
Okay, judge the present and not the past. Now, were there some priority projects that you were expecting the president to address first? Going by what you have listened from the different political party leaders during these campaigns, most of them said, first 100 days, this is what we are tackling. This is what we are tackling. What according to you is a priority for Cameroonians today?
The priority for Cameroonians now is peace and serenity. That is what Cameroonians need. Because just for the few days that we were in the house, prior to the proclamation of the results, we discovered that the entire atmosphere was tense. I even make on my TikTok page that I have not seen Douala like that for my 5 to 6 years that I am here. And then the crisis that was already rocking the Northwest and the Southwest. I expected in that speech, Mr. Liu, for the head of state to have exceptionally or distinguishedly addressed the issue in Noso. Given that from the polls and to the final counting of the votes, it was viewed that Northwest and Southwest came out with percentages that since the era of multipartism, CPDM had never scored that amount, had never scored that percentage of votes. I was expected the head of state, first of all, to acknowledge, not even to appreciate, to acknowledge the fact that this time the Northwesterners and the Southwesterners, in spite of the difficult moments that they were passing through, thought of him to give him their votes. That is confidence. Secondly, I was expecting the head of state to say again the way map out of the Anglophone crisis, which he just said peace will return. But for the time being, those are the two regions that have actually hampered the socio-economic programs of Cameroon one way or the other. Now we are having a new scenario, which is the Grand North. If the Noso issue is not addressed to the latter, that peace return to normal, and then Monday is a working day, no longer a ghost town, we will have another scenario in the North. There will be seen a country of 10 regions with 5 uncontrollable. If Douala steps in and the West, because we saw from the demonstration after the proclamation of the results, if Douala and the West region should step in, we'll be talking about 7 regions. Even the East region was even involved. So we're talking about 8 regions, and then the 2 regions that were out of trouble were the capital city, the capital, and the South region. You cannot be the head of state and then you can only command 2 regions. It means that something is wrong. So the issue of peace should be primordial. It is so the Bible says the Lord himself will give you peace by all means. That is what they should employ, by all means, to bring peace to Cameroon. And the way to bring peace, we cannot take regression. Yes, to bring peace, we cannot use aggression. We cannot use intimidation. The more you use intimidation, the more the people will become violent, because they will become used to that system. And it's like Cameroonians are already getting used to aggressive method, aggressive talk, aggressive way they address the administration addresses its citizens. I think that is an archaic method. That method has not worked. It does not work. It is not working and will not work, because some people are very good under pressure, and Cameroonians are coming to that point where they say, like, we live, we die, we die. You remember the other time in Parliament where they were singing, parliamentarians singing, you go kill, we tire. Some Cameroonians have come to that point. They live, they die, they die. After, what are they living for? If they can't have any good life, they can't have.
Okay. So priority for you is peace,
yes,
peace and security,
and security in the.
But the president of the Republic insisted that he has given an olive branch to those who have taken up arms, but calling on the elites of the Southwest and Northwest regions to do more to engage in community dialogue with these persons. You understood where he's coming from, Dr. Dumacho?
Of course, I understand where he is coming from, but one of the things that he really has to understand is that even these elites and the traditional rulers are helpless, and that many people are of the school of thought that the solution to the Northwest and Southwest region now lies within the presidency of the Republic. We have had chiefs and fonds, chiefs from the Northwest and fonds from the Northwest region, who have practically abandoned their own villages, their own condoms, their own chiefdoms because of this problem. How do you think somebody who is running away can come back to solve a problem? It is a very, very delicate issue that the president is talking about. We have had elites who have practically run away from their villages, who have not gone to their villages for 9 good years that we have this crisis. And then the president of the republic is expecting them to go back and solve this problem. And now, this now brings us to the understanding of Barrister made mention of the high score that President Biya had in the Anglophone regions. And now, it appears the president is not well informed that most of these people who went for elections and who actually are of the ruling party, they sneaked into the villages just during elections, and they did what they did and came out. And now it has given the president impression, maybe this call has given the president impression that they can handle issues. Meanwhile, you know, in essence, these people cannot handle the issues. They themselves are just sneaking in, they're getting Nicodemously and getting out. This is one thing, and we now have to let the president of the republic, maybe after this, he's already in command, he should make a thorough investigation on how he got this call from the Northwest and Southwest region, and then come to terms. We know that he cannot cancel it. It is already there. And that he just needs to come to terms with how this came about. If really this region that was actually at one moment vibrant and they were participating in civic actions, but now that they are not even participating, most people have run out of the villages, and there is this far cry of abandonment and all of that, that it is now that his scores the highest in this region. I think that he needs to have a double thought. It is something that he really needs to think about. And you asked a question about the expectation that we had from the President of the Republic. I had quite some expectation. You know, the country has been burning. The country has been burning. And we thought the President could at least address some of these issues. You know, one of the things that I admire about leadership is humility. And I thought, instead of actually putting that accent on the fact that peace must reign, or that order must reign, I thought perhaps he could as well appease the worrying factors, those who have been feeling disgruntled. He will have asked himself a question: why were there riots all over the nation? And at one moment, I expected the President of the Republic to say, "My people, I have listened to you, I have heard, and I am going to do my best in this last mandate." Let me not say last mandate. Well, yeah, it's only God now who can remove the President of the Republic from what we have understood now. No, from all the trials that I've had, it shows that the Cameroonians are waiting on God, and that before God takes him away, he is going to try to solve these issues. This is one of the things. We needed some appeasement, you know, because he is not oblivious of the fact that there were riots almost the whole of Cameroon.
He raised the issue, eh?
He raised the issue. I thought perhaps there was supposed to be some remorsement. He is supposed to at least show some sympathy. Just for the fact that people were disgruntled. Whatever they were disgruntled for, he was supposed, as a head of state, the person who is in command, to at least say that he is giving a hand of fellowship to all Cameroonians to come and sit on the table and discuss these issues. And secondly, you know, before this election and even now, Cameroonians have been going through untold suffering about road infrastructure, both intra-urban routes and inter-urban routes. We have been having quite some issues, and people were so disgruntled. Certainly, there is somebody who is responsible for this. And you know, in this kind of cases, it is the head that takes responsibility. And at this point in time, he was actually supposed to say, yes, he knows what Cameroonians have gone through all this while in terms of transportation and all of those. He is promising them that this is not going, he is going to make sure he actually takes care of this. There are some of these things. We have had this, battle, ping pong between the Ministry of Sports and, the President of the Republic has never made this kind of a speech without talking about sports. And we thought that, it was not by mistake that he left sport out. He certainly knows that there was a problem in the sports ministry. And I thought, since it is somebody who has always taken pride in the sports in Cameroon, we were expecting at least him to know that he should not only glory when there are glorious days, he should also be able to speak when there are turbulent days. And then we thought he should also say he understood that there was some misunderstanding in the management of sport in Cameroon. He may not possibly say that there was this handcuff between the sport ministry and the federation. He could just say that there was some misunderstanding that in the sports management, and that he promises as the head of state, since it is something that Cameroonians adore so much, he is going to put order into it. It is very important, and this also assures, this will assure Cameroonians about that. Now, he also went forth to talk about reinstilling the PhD programs in Cameroon. I expected. We're going to come to
that. I wanted us to look at this issue of elite. I want to read it from what the head of state said. As you know, our country has been grappling with a number of security challenges for years now. In the northwest and southwest regions, as well as the far north, terrorist groups, some from neighboring countries, have long sowed death and caused destructions. Thanks to the effective actions of our defense and security forces, whose professionalism I commend once again, as well as the courageous commitment of our resilient population, the overall situation has markedly improved. Government-led reconstruction efforts, supported by our international partners, are paving the way for a gradual return to normalcy. In this regard, I urge traditional rulers, the elite, and the vital forces of the affected regions to engage more than ever before in raising awareness among members of the armed groups, encouraging them to accept government olive branch and lay down their arms. The President of the Republic wants the traditional authorities, the elites, and others to raise awareness. If they have not done so within the past 9 years, is it the large victory from these regions that is making the President now believe that these elites, the traditional rulers, have authority over what is happening?
Normally, by the state structure, the traditional rulers are auxiliaries of the administration. They are the people that live immediately with the population, which means that they are supposed, first of all, to be members of the regional security meetings. But oftentimes, the traditional rulers are never called to partake in security meetings chaired by the regional governors.
Some of them are there. They are there. Some of them are.
If you take only the regional representative, what about the others? Because the other ones, the others have to come. No, even if they have the funds that I know, I'm married to the fund. The funds have their divisional presidents. Every division has the president of that particular division, which means that those are the people that you should use, because they are the people to tell you immediately what is happening, and you give them the leeway onto how to handle those problems. But most of the times they are left out, so you cannot be. And then secondly, they have turned the funds or the chiefs into political puppets. In those days, President Amado Haijo went to had to remove his shoes, enter the palace, and clap to the late fund of I have forgotten the name of that fund. But today, what do political elites do? They sit in their homes and then call for the fund to come and meet them against tokens in envelopes. You cannot unpower somebody and give that person power at the same time. If the elites, they had first of all supposed to respect the funds. That is when the funds will have power. By the time they're introducing politics into the palaces, you have now a CPDM. Okay, it's a CPDM fund. What about the other parties that are inside? Remember, the other party members that are inside your own village. Remember, all of them are Cameroonians. So you cannot be taking side. And oftentimes, those funds, when you are not supporting the party in which they find themselves, you are their enemy, directly or indirectly. They show you that open disgust in the way they treat matters that concerns you, because you are not supporting them, which is not supposed to be so, because people have freedom. Multipartism is that you have a right to belong to where you want to belong. Using them could have been a good idea, but now you have taken away their power, except they have to give back the power to them. Coming to the elite, give back the powers to the fund. I think they will do a good job, because they are the one living with the population, and their elites respect them. But now most elites don't respect their funds. Most villagers don't respect their funds because powers have been stripped off from them. Coming to the elites, the issues in the Northwest and Southwest, the political elites in particular, is not all the elites, because you don't go and tell the businessman. The political elites, they know their problem, they know how to solve it. If this problem in the Northwest and Southwest is persisting, it is either the neglect of the political elites or they are funding it. Because tell me how they were managed to secure those number of votes in highly heated environment where Amber Boys were threatening people from going to vote. How did they go? It means they know go and bring that same vote. They will question their integrity. Yes, we'll have to question their integrity. Because how can you go and secure votes to keep yourself in parliament, in the Senate, in the council, and then at the same time you cannot cause an enabling atmosphere for the ordinary citizen to have peace and secured environment? What security measures are they usually employing during elections time, during campaign time, to have the serene environment to secure 5,000 votes, 15,000 votes, 10,000 votes, 12,000 votes? What measures are they employing to have those kind of votes that they cannot employ ordinary time for Cameroonians to have peace and go about their business? September, they will be locked down and only reopen after 1st of October. Any occasion is coming, they will be locked down. But surprisingly this year, Mr. Liu, that yesterday that was the 6th of November. It used to be locked down or ghost town in the Northwest and Southwest. Exceptionally, there was no ghost town. Is there a game?
Okay. Yes. Now, can the President of the Republic, he says this, the traditional rulers, elite of the Southwest and Northwest should work even harder. Do they really have control over affairs in these regions?
As I earlier said, these people that the President mentioned are themselves helpless. Yes, totally, they are really helpless. And it is like he wants to send them on a kind of a mission. It's a suicide mission, I must say. As I earlier said, you know, most of them are out of the villages. Most of them sneak into the villages and come out. And I'm asking myself, but I think that that's the best thing that the President of the Republic could do to her, to really show loyalty to him. If you really think that you are loyal to me,
if you could get me these results, it means
exactly means that you can get to the terrain, and that they should start measuring which locality is living the vibrant, is living this life, its daily life normally, because there is this elite here. I think this way they should reward the elite, that your locality is in peace and that life is going on normally. It should be thanks to you because you have been able to broker this peace between the population and the boys in the bush. And it is very important. So I think maybe we could be saying this in a very, very light-hearted manner, and maybe that's a test that the President of the Republic wants to give them. You have given me a very good result. Thank you very much. You are very, very loyal comrades to me. Okay, now I'm giving you a new task. And the new task is that you, the chief, you, the funds, go back to your villages and sue peace. Those people who voted for me, I want to see life in those villages. You, the political elite, very good. Thank you so much for this vote. This shows that you are in command of the issues. This shows that you can handle issues in your various localities. Now go back, and I'm giving you the first trimester of my reign, and that I want you to give me a report. Just as I've already seen, the first thing that the President talked about was the issue of PhD. I've seen a letter already circulating from Minister of Higher Education. Means that people are already getting to work. And I think that perhaps this time around, he really wants to get into the issues and get reports. And now he is, in another way, sending these elites to their villages. Well, now they are going to actually to satisfy, or maybe to ascertain, or maybe to prove the fact that they were out in the village during the votes day on the 12th of October. And that they actually made the people, and the people came out en masse because they were so happy with the President of the Republic, who they represent, and the people came en masse, even more than ever before, and voted for the President of the Republic. And then they are saying that the President of the Republic should take another 7 years. And if they are saying that the President of the Republic should take another 7 years, and the President is giving these promises that he just gave, it means that the promises need to be implemented in their communities. And therefore, there is no way in which we will be saying that, please take another 7 years, when we will not allow you to implement your service, your speeches or your promises you have given. And therefore, the President has said, I mean it this time around. This next 7 years is going to be 7 years of labor. It's going to be the most 7 years of revealing your identity, your true identity. The most 7 years of actually proving to me that your people are behind me. Therefore, go to your villages, you chief, you funds, you political elites. Go to your villages and tell your people to calm down. And tell your people, I have listened to you, and let life reign again. Let life be vibrant again in these villages. And I know people are gnashing their teeth now in some offices because they are asking themselves if this really has to happen. And the test of the putting now will be next year during the parliamentary elections. It is really going to be a match, because you know that in parliamentary election, it is not like the presidential election. These results are actually announced in the polling station. You know that you are a mayor and it is announced there. A parliamentarian, the people will defend it and the result will be gotten there. And therefore, it is a time for you now to certify the fact that you gave this vote to the President of the Republic. Because I don't think that you can give this kind of vote to the President of the Republic and then lose it. If you lose it, then it means that you didn't give it. So you cannot love another person more than, because the president depends also on his parliamentarian. It is very important. Because he cannot rule as a president if he has opposition, the glass house, which is now the President Paul Biya's glass house. Can you imagine opposition coming to fill that glass house that is in his name? And it is a test for these people to let them know that next year it is now going to be, they are going to actually certify what they have done and prove that they did this for the President of the Republic by getting the score that is required and is necessary.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Trust my message finds you all well. Sincerely, I'm enjoying your program. Anytime Mommy Akwen is on your platform, please tell Mommy Barrister she has to be one of the best advisors in the presidency. Kudos to her. Memsi Bills is writing from Limbe. Greetings, Mr. Leo. Thanks very much for this program. I'm Johnson Chongwine Fu. I'm very discouraged that the government does not care about its citizens. Can you imagine that this government had been owing coffee seedlings money since 2013 and his ministers does not care about the heavy debts we are deep into? You followed the president address the nation yesterday in an inaugural speech. He said, amongst other things, that recruitments were now going to be done. Intake into ENS and a host of others. Is that what actually changes with that? Is that what Cameroonians are yearning for today?
That is employment. He's talking about employment and employment for the youth, which it is the greatest cry that every Cameroonian youth will present to you. Like I said before, that they went into the street protesting because they are frustrated, they are confused, they don't see a future in front of them. I think that this move, if implemented, we say it again, if implemented, will be a very good move. But I want to thank the head of state, because that in the first place gives hope to the youths, and I'm sure that some of them will start compiling their documents so that at the moment that they launch those public competitive exams or what recruitment mechanisms, they will be ready to submit their files. But then, like we are saying, good speech and implementation, they are two different vibes. He has been saying it. I just wish it would take the same course like the 25,000 recruits that he announced in 20, that should be 2011?
Yeah, 2011.
Yes, in 2011, that it would take the same effect like it did. Most of my friends, they found employment, they are employed thanks to that project. We pray that it will be handled in the same manner. But please, to the head of state, let the head of state warn his collaborators not to take bribe from Cameroonians who are already impoverished, frustrated, before they could handle their files. Let nepotism and tribalism be put out of the recruitment process. Let those who merit it be recruited, because we have found situations where we have nincompoop, especially in the area of teachers, doctors. If we don't have good teachers, then the future of the youth is bleak. Because, in fact, a porous education, what do you expect for the future? I got scenario where we have to receive interns from the different universities. I want to call those universities, when they send them for chambers attachment or for law in practice, they come and they know nothing. And each time I will have to write in their report telling their lecturers that these children have come here for us, to me, to teach them law in practice, not the law. I am not a university lecturer. So in the process of recruitment, they should recruit those who passed the test, not those who come from their villages, not members of their family, not those who come and give them bribe. Else they will be raising mediocres, and their children will be mediocres. Especially the children of the poor, because their own children will go abroad and the children of the poor will stay here. But it will affect the nation because it's a supply chain. It will affect the nation in one way or the other, that the nation is producing mediocres. So I just want to urge the head of state to take this particular mission seriously, and not only to allow it, but to see that the implementation it's done. And like I said, let the head of state from time to time give impromptu visits to institutions, just like he went we saw him in Garwa during his campaign. He went to the north. So he can just come impromptu. Yes, in other countries, I was in Tanzania years ago, and we just had that President Magufuli, may he so rest in peace, was in town. How did he come to town? Nobody knows. He doesn't do any announcement. He doesn't come with escort. He just appears there and see what they were doing. We think that those kind of impromptu visits to see what your collaborators are doing is very necessary. And then the children, just imagine that we stay in the university and they tell us nowadays that the head of state, President Paul Biya, is on campus. Can you imagine? Everybody will leave what you're doing to go and see the head of state, just to have a glimpse of him. I think that for this is latter days, he should be a people-friendly president. Yes, people-friendly president, not the president that will only see him once in a while. People-friendly, make good relations tour, make a national tour. He should equally include that in his agenda. Do a national tour. The last time he went to the Northwest was 2010. Then in the Southwest it was 2014. Thereafter, we are talking about 15 years. You don't go to the other parts of your nation. You know, we think that if he is there on the field, everything that he says will be implemented, Mr. Leo.
Okay, ENS, recruitment to ENS, and then the PhD programs, what does that really change in our national life? Because these are things that were already there. ENS was already part of our national life. PhDs, people go to school because they don't have jobs, they have to go up to the level of PhDs.
Yes, I'm really shocked, and this is one of the things I wanted to say. Thank God that it is you have it as part of our program this evening. Because when you stop PhD, there were reasons why they stopped the PhD. Can you imagine one professor supervising over maybe 30 students or 40 students and still having lectures? I'm saying that just for the doctorate thesis and then master's memoirs, you have to study about maybe 20 the same year. And now there was an issue of financing that we don't see anything for it, because at the end of it all, they are wanting, because there's no finance for all of those, and everybody is complaining. And the president said, okay, let us sit back and look at these things well and calculate and see how we are going to manage these things. I was expecting to actually hear the President of the Republic give a report on what has been done before this is reinstituting this, because over the years, I mean, it was since 2002 that this was suspended, 2021, 2022 that this was suspended. And we have not had any report about it. Nothing has been said about it. For the president just to come and say he is reinstituting. And now, I just said that I got an information here from the Minister of Higher Education calling on the Vice Chancellors and the Rectors to meet on the 12th in Yaoundé in his ministry, so that they can re-brainstorm or to see ways in which they can handle this. So it means that nothing has been done between the line, but the president is reinstituting it. Now, we are talking about ENS, computer exam into ENS, all of those things. Mr. Leo, we know how teachers have been treated in this country. We have never had a problem with the issue of ENS, of course. They have always been, I mean, before we had that issue or where there was a stoppage or whatsoever, teachers have not been treated well. And I must say this clearly. If there is one thing that we have a problem with in Cameroon as far as teachers are concerned, be it a level of university, secondary or whatsoever, is the issue of payment, remuneration, which has always been a big problem. Now, when you look at those who abscond from their professions and go elsewhere, teachers are leading the tally. That they are people who leave their jobs and go for greener pastures. They are teachers. And they do not leave that because they want it. They leave it because their salary is too menial. I must say, maybe barrister, you could form a group and actually take this up. The salary of teachers is too menial. Can you imagine a teacher in a primary school teaching in town and being paid 100,000 francs with a family? Now, what happens now? They strive. The integration into the profession now becomes a leeway to get some few coins of money and go for greener pastures. I was thinking that rather the problem of teachers leaving the profession should be actually what the government should preempt and should look into, rather than talking about priding over reinstituting something. We have seen PhD holders sit in front of the Prime Ministry to cry for jobs. Some threatening even to take gamalin, poison, drink and die if they are not given jobs. There are a lot of overflowing PhDs outside. I met one who is doing burnt skin in Douala. Just to say that the problem is not that of reinstituting the PhD program. The problem is taking care of those programs and actually maybe tailoring into much more professional courses than general, that people come out and they are hunting for or asking the government to employ them. There is a new way in which we can retailor this. We had a lot of problems with the universities of Biya and others, whereby people cried foul about the recruitment process and that they needed about 200 and something lecturers, and we got over thousands who applied to teach at the University of Biya. This shows that what? That there are a lot of PhD holders outside looking for jobs. And to think that you are surprising and giving Cameroonians a Christmas gift by saying that you are reinstituting the PhD program, it is like telling Cameroonians that you are renewing the problem of PhDs in Cameroon, which is not a good thing. I would have loved the president to say. I remember there is somebody who used to say, PhD holder, doctors who sit and only wait for the gizzards. That when they sit in the gathering, they wait for the gizzard.
Dr. A or B.
Dr. A or B is around. Please, can we acknowledge Dr. A and B? And then you sit somewhere, the only thing that you pride yourself with is the gizzard, which is the most important part of the fowl, at least as our tradition holds. And then there are a lot of issues to solve about teachers than increasing the number of teachers. We will have been talking about professionalism in Cameroon, where we will say that we are going to introduce self-entrepreneurial courses in most universities, that we are going to be able to equip our laboratories so that those who come out from these schools should actually be self-entrepreneurial. That our chemical, mechanical industries should be furnished to empower people, empower students to come out and renovate Cameroon. And then we need to form engineers who, of course, are not only going to depend on the government, but engineers that are going to be even in the private sectors and serving the government. That when we want to construct routes, as our routes are all broken, we will not need to go to China, we will not need to go to Europe, we will not need to go to America to bring engineers to work. And that we are going to equip students with these, rather than just talking about the issues of PhD reinstituting them and ENS, whereby at the end of it all, first of all, the issue of ENS has a problem. Because when you come out from ENS, you don't immediately receive a salary. This is one thing I pointed out one time with the government. And the more you delay with the teacher's salary, the more you give the teacher the leeway to get that salary at one moment and leave. Because if I stay for one year without a salary, and at one moment you give me a small buck, I've never seen that before. Rather than suffering myself to get all through this thing, why don't I go for a better place where I'll be much more regarded, that I have the money to pay? This is what happened. And that we should be thinking that as much as we are thinking about empowering teachers and getting teachers trained. When we employ them, we should make sure that we start satisfying them, remunerating them immediately when they come up from school, so that they see the love for the profession.
Okay. Yes, the president also raised the issue of corruption. Do you see him doing more than what we have seen in the past? Because so many operations are on ground. We have so many institutions that were erected to fight that vice, but very slow paced.
I think I was very pleased again to hear him raise the issue of corruption, which means that he is aware that Cameroon is always amongst the first 10 countries in the world was rated for corruption. And I think that that is not a good image about his country, him being the head of state. But if I remember again, in 2018, when he took over power again in 2018, he raised the issue of corruption. 2 years ago, when he was doing his end of year speech, he raised the issue of corruption. But why is it that it is still persisting each time he raised it? Instead of the level of corruption in Cameroon decreasing, Cameroon is still just amongst the pass mark, passing with flying colors as far as corruption is concerned. Transparency International is always reading Cameroon. At times they say no, it is not true, but those of us living where we live with it at each time, that a Cameroonian will not do his work and wait for salaries and wait for his salary at the close of the month. You have to do motivation, you have to pamper. At times they even just ask openly, give me. Every facet of Cameroon institution is plagued with corruption. There I ask, what is now the rule of CONAC? What is CONAC doing? Because CONAC is like just that other structure that is there with some political elites that they have put them there to compensate them for whatever else. What is CONAC doing? CONAC will just see CONAC from time to time. They go to the street and say, oh, CONAC was here. They don't have a disciplinary force. So corruption keeps propping up, and so an average Cameroonian is a corrupt citizen. But for those of us working in the private sector who employ ourselves and then we don't have anybody to come and corrupt us because lawyers, we are just like doing our jobs. But in other facets, corruption is just like a daily bread. And Mr. Leo, there is this scenario I witnessed. My first time I went to Addis Ababa in 2011. I arrived at the airport late and I was like, I'm going to Cameroon. Whereas I was actually to say I'm going to Douala. So I missed my terminal. And then when I later on realized that I had to say Douala, I was almost late. This worker at the airport took my bags. He hurriedly issued my boarding pass, took my bag and sent to the cabin. And I had their Ethiopian currency with me. And I was like, thank you. I removed the remaining money and said, thank you for what you... The man gave me an attitude. Like, what are you doing? Then I was like, no, I just want to thank you for helping me. He says no, he has done his job. If I feel that he has done something, this is his name, I should write and drop in the recommendation box, because that is how he will get his promotion. I was so ashamed. I said, okay, but now I don't have any use of your money because I am already going to my country. He told me, madam, enter in the shops and get some souvenirs to take to your country. I was so ashamed of myself. But immediately I landed at the Douala International Airport and we arrived at the immigration check. The first thing the police officer was a woman asked me, madame, tu m'as gardé quoi? Tu viens dans une grande conférence comme ça, tu m'as gardé quoi? It was so shameful that I'm coming back to my country and this is where I'm getting my embarrassment. And when I looked at her and I was equally surprised by, why will you embarrass me? But you see, why will you not do your job? Then that woman, lo and behold, she kept me, the police officer, immigration officer, she kept me and attended to 2 other people before attending to me. And you could see people had monies. She was looking for those with dollars, those with pounds to slip in her hand. And then she easily registered them for them to pass. And then she handed me the threat. And you can imagine the heat that is at the Douala airport. And I just left a cold lane and then I was sweating. You see, how do you take away corruption? So let the head of state take this matter as very serious. I told you that when you take corruption away from Cameroon, if the issue of corruption is solved in Cameroon, you have solved 50% of the problem. Because talking about recruiting into ENS, that is just a floodgate for those recruiters to take money from Cameroonians. I remember the year I wrote ENS. That was my first concours I wrote in my life. They asked me for 600,000 francs. In those days, it was as low as that. I didn't even have the money, and that is how I finally did not go to ENS. I went down to the University of Nchang. So if that issue can be hammered hard, and we see those who have been suspected of corruption, the Kovi Gate, the Ekan Gate, the Olembe Gate, and all of those gates, if he hammers on those people like he did to the other people who are in prison now, I'm sure Cameroonians again for once will sit up, and the right people in the right places will take their seats, and people will do their work. So that if the work that you're supposed to do, if the salary there is small, leave the public service, go and do business if you want money. Because Cameroon is the only one country like in the world where civil servants are the richest. How does it come? In Nigeria, you talk about civil service people are not interested in entering the public service, especially teachers, nurses, and police people. Nobody is interested in becoming that. They're interested in going to do business. Why is it that in Cameroon, everybody wants matricule? You see young magistrates riding in big cars for 10, 15 million, and you ask, what is the pack of their salary? Where did they get that money? It could not have been a loan, because you cannot take a salary, you cannot mortgage your salary for a loan to buy a car. You see young doctors, they have not worked, they are riding in big cars. Where do they get that money from? And others, custom officers, taxation workers, and the rest, in fact, the economists and the rest. How did they get that money? So it has to be checked in every facet. And I think that the head of state, I'm praying and I'm pleading that he should take this other aspect too seriously. Peace and eradicate corruption. I mean, to the barest, you cannot take corruption, eradicate corruption, even in Western democracies, but you can reduce it to the barest minimum, even to 70%.
Okay, to barest minimum, quite possible. What do you expect to see happen in this fight against corruption raised by the President of the Republic? To see more powers given to CONAC, get most of our projects better monitored, or also get our people change their mindset?
You call the name CONAC, and I was thinking, a friend who told me that, you know what, I have an impression that even CONAC is much more corrupt than even though. Yeah, a lot is going on.
Yeah, just speculations.
Well, they are speculations, and I think that people are talking with reasons. Yes,
without any fact.
Yes, we have to shout out on this thing, and we have gotten. I mean, I've gotten some stories about that, whereby some agents. I mean, they are always bad agents in everything. The structure may not be bad, but some individuals of the structure may be bad. Where you are sent to go check somewhere, and you go ask somebody to say, okay, for you to cover this fact and this malpractice and this misappropriation, please you give me this and then I will cover you. It happens, and it is happening. So those are some facts that we need to. But I think that it is much more about sensitization, because the work is too big even for CONAC. It is just too big for CONAC. It is about telling Cameroonians about the rights, your rights to get services. And one of the ways we can do that is to scare people too. Let acts of corruption be punishable. In some countries, you are punished by death. Yes.
China.
Yes, in China. You are punished by death. If we do this for the first 2, 3, 4, 5 persons, you will start dying down. Let you hold somebody, push over a minister like this, or a director, or somebody that you see there as embezzle funds, that we are talking about the COVID gate, we are talking about the can gate, we are talking about this, and you tell the person, take the person to firing squad. You have been proven guilty for this act of embezzlement. You are taking it to the firing squad, pop, and you go. Or they tie your neck with a stone and throw it in the IC in the worry. I'm telling you, 2, 3, 4 persons, the thing will die down. You will scare away people. This is a fact.
But that would be too cruel.
But it's too cruel. But do you know how cruel people and how many people are dying because of their corrupt practices? Sometimes we develop sympathy or empathy for certain issues, not knowing what passively, the way people passively suffer from their act. A lot of people die because of poor medical care, because somebody embezzled the funds. A lot of people are dying on the roads because contracts were given and somebody siphoned the contract funds. A lot of people are suffering from food, basic food, because some people have decided to misappropriate the funds. And because these people who die, they don't come and tell you that it is because of that they have died. Now, that's why you may think that if we punish those who are corrupt in that manner, it will be like we are cruel. Those people are even more cruel to those who are dying than what that act that we can carry out to them. I think that Cameroon has reached a stage where corruption is almost endemic, and that to stamp out this corruption, we need some drastic measures. You know, the extraordinary situation requires extraordinary measures. This is what Cameroon needs now. Extraordinary measures to stamp out this issue called, this cankerworm, as we call it, called corruption. Because if you want to take in the usual lackadaisical manner to pamper people, to write rules, to send people on the field, at the end of the year, they come and give reports. This organ was corrupt. This was the first most corrupt organ in the country. I'm telling you, it will not stop. There are a lot of ways in which people take to squeeze off money from innocent Cameroonians. And we also need to report those cases. It is very, very important. Even like the case that the barrister is talking here at the airport, we need to report it. Somebody even wanted to do me in that same manner. I mean, we say it is even an issue of the Central African region, because it's not only Cameroon alone. And that if Cameroon can set the pace, it is good. I pass at Maya International Airport, and a woman, it's always a woman. How much do you have in your pocket? How much money do you have? So that we can, she said you can note. I said, what? You want to note? Because, and now somebody called me and said, those women want to know how much you have so that they will impose you to pay something to them. These are some styles, there are some ways in which they use in order to squeeze money. We need to report these acts. Let there be an SOS or whatsoever, a box, a situation box or whatsoever, everywhere, where when you find this kind of an issue, you should report. Because the fact is that people are dying in silence. They are dying in silence. And of course, and they are also afraid. Let people, the government also provide a means to be able to protect those who report acts of corruption. Because there's this fear too that when you report, they will come after you. It is very possible. And so people are afraid. You are in a desperate condition and people now use your condition. That is the thing. This is what is happening. Because they see that you cannot do without. So you have to pay. Have you even ever asked yourself, barrister, most of the criminals are even picked up on Fridays. Do you know why they are picked up? You can tell, even better tell us.
We know why.
Yes, most criminals are picked up on Friday. Because
even innocent people.
Even innocent people.
Yes.
Because they know that innocent people must pay money because they don't want to stay the weekend there.
Yes.
These are acts of corruption. It can either be a passive one or an active one. We need to report all of these acts. These are things that we know. And if we don't talk about them, and if there is no strong organ that can be able to hit his hand on the table and say, this must stop, then we are going to continue. And that's why we are saying that we need an iron-fisted person. I mean, if the president has decided that, as he mentioned in his speech yesterday, that he is going to fight corruption. I remember he said this one time. But I'm happy too that now he has a proof. Because at one moment they were not proved because he didn't want to fight corruption because people were corrupt, and he asked them who's the proof. But now the president knows that there are proofs. That's why he's talking about it. And therefore, since they are proof and they have given to him that this is what happened in the Can Gate, this is what people embezzle. COVID Gate, this is what people embezzle. Root infrastructure, this is what people embezzle. And all of this in the commissariat, this is the way people do. And then there was even a story about the prisons and how some hardened criminals, they come out. The president is well known, he knows all of these things. And if he decides to stop them, he will stop them. And that the only best way to stop it is to develop a drastic measure that is going to deter these people from these malpractices, Mr. Liu.
Okay. Now, the president, in talking about good governance fight against corruption, Doctor, after decades in power, because he's president for 43 years now, do Cameroonians still believe in that message when you have said this severally. I remember in 2013, he raised this issue and said that things were going to be done. For the past 2 years, at any instance that he's addressing the nation at the end of the year, he raises the issue of corruption. Do people really still believe that this fight is going to be genuine? And you, as somebody who is in this domain of law, you are a lawyer, what new mechanisms or reforms do you want to see the president put forth to make this anti-corruption crusade really credible and efficient?
First of all, there have to be repressive measures.
Okay.
Barely saying it, Cameroonians, like we said, that it is already a canker worm. It is already in fact, it is like a DNA.
Mm-hmm.
The DNA of a Cameroonian is corruption. Yes, you do the DNA of Cameroonian, you find corruption there as a trace. He should use repressive measures. Then, the justice mechanisms should take it into consideration. But now the justice mechanism too in Cameroon, it is one of the highly corrupted institutions. So where does the ordinary Cameroonian run to? So it has to take repressive measures with those who are already been earmarked as suspects. And then it has to take drastic measures with the judiciary. It has to start from there. I think that, let me say for instance, if President Biya has the first 2 years, he can put Cameroon to order as far as corruption is concerned. Use the jury ruling approach. Jury ruling, the former president, the late president, the former president who is late of Ghana. Use that approach by not sparing anyone caught in corruption. Just like Doctor was saying, that you shoot 5 of them. It is cleansing.
Yes.
Even if human rights will have to, it is cleansing.
No, we cannot advocate the shooting of people.
Let me land.
No.
During the protests, how many people died? They are equally Cameroonians, right?
No.
No, they were protesting for what they think was their right, and about 5 of them were shot, and those that were unrecorded. So if 5 Cameroonians should go down for 30 other million Cameroonians to be free from corruption, what is wrong with that? I think it's a good move. That is why I'm saying that he should take the jury ruling approach. Yes, because if I am the president today, the first thing I'm going to do, oh my God, as I'll take that jury ruling approach, the first thing I have to eradicate is corruption. Because when you eradicate, when you set example, the judiciary will stand. The police, the gendarmes, forces of law, they will stand. Because go to the courts. Everywhere is written, bail is free. There is no free bail. If there's a magistrate, or let them call and tell me that there is a free bail. There is no free bail. Like Mr. Leo was saying, that during the weekends, that is where they go and arrest arbitrarily. They don't even have warrants. They sit in the offices. Somebody comes and lay a complaint. They just call, and they tell you that you should come now. And you go there to the police post or to the gendarme. They just put you in cell. And then you start to negotiate. You don't even know what you have done. Some of them don't even have any crimes. It is just their espions, their spies that just go out or just it is a whole business. Yeah. It is business that you have some people that, oh, there's this new guy that has just come to town. He's from Europe. Let us just handle him a bit to say, oh, you have a complaint from custom that your vehicles were never declared. They just form a story, and then they go and pick you and come. They know that you will not want to sleep in the cell, because you know that liberty, involuntary incarceration, it's quite painful. So nobody will want to sleep in the cell on the Friday and over the weekend. That is what they do. Then you start to negotiate and negotiate. I remember I left police station, gendarme station one day at 10 p.m. in the night, because we're negotiating the amount that the commandant had told the investigator to collect. My client did not have that amount of money. So we negotiated and negotiated until he came at that time and like reluctantly had to take the money, because my client could not stay there because he was a handicap. So he could not even stay there with crutches. Where will he sleep and how will he sleep there? So they have to do everything to take him from there. And so that is what you see that they do. And then who suffers? The innocent Cameroonians. Bail is not free, not anywhere. Before you get the State Council signature to sign for bail, oftentimes, there are only a few good ones. I'm not saying that all are corrupt. Oftentimes, you have to go with an envelope, first of all, put that envelope on the table and start to do the negotiation. You take it from there, you go to the police, where the State Council has already ordered for a release on bail. The commandant is there, and the commissioner is there. You have to give his own envelope before he will sign the discharge. That is how corruption. I have matters now going on in court. They'll tell you, oh, it is at this level. Oh, go and see and do a motivation. What is motivation? It is involuntary. That is corruption. And that is why for now I don't like court. I don't like court again. Yes, my most aching matters are when I think I have to go to court. But there are some very few judges when I'm going for that. I know that yes, I'm going. Let it be a voluntary. That work at close to that. I tell you, thank you for this, maybe for this judgment, even whether it is in my favor or against my client. And let me appreciate you maybe for your reasoning. Yes, because the judge based the judgment on reasoning. You see the seasonedness of the judgment. You said, okay, at the close of the day, even though I lost this matter, the judge had every reason to have caused my matter, to have denied me justice, my own rights at this point in time. That is actually what we want. So if they go into each of these ministry, you set an example. I think that Cameroonians will come out from, in fact, they will drink it out in a bottle of beer and go and pee corruption. Yes. At that level, repressive measure will be a very good one.
Okay, but the president also raised an issue of efficiency as far as delivery is concerned. He said reforms were going to be undertaken, and that proposals were going to be made at the level of the National Assembly. To make sure that the government runs more efficiently. What reforms do you think the president is talking about here? Well, at what level of the governance structure do we need clear reforms?
I think that we need reforms first in the sector of education. We are using an archaic kind of curriculum in Cameroon. We are using a colonial curriculum in Cameroon. We are using a curriculum in Cameroon that does not help Cameroonians. If reforms can be done at the level of education, I bet you this would be also another panacea for solving the problems of Cameroon. Because our education is set in such a way that it is at the level of rote memorization. That
remembering.
Memory. We were taught to remember our barrister since 1960, and you know that, of course, we are taking from, that's why I talk about the colonial curriculum. Because in the 1960s, when these people introduced us education, it was not for us to grow and be intelligent like they are or to do what they are. The purpose of education at that period was for us to read and write. That was it. To understand what they were saying and implement. It was not for us to become engineers. It was not for us to become doctors. It was not for us to become agronomists. No. It was for us to read and write, memorize. And so we started from there now. And the curriculum that was introduced, Mr. Kum, you went to secondary school, when they gave you a butterfly, they said, name the part of a butterfly. And then you ask yourself today, of what use were that? And then they ask you during the exam, you lit the midnight candle. You put your feet inside water and you are memorizing the antenna, you are memorizing all of those. The compound eye. Tell me of what use were all of this. And it is still happening today.
The thorax.
The thorax. It is still happening today. Ask your child, maybe in the house, you name all of those things from the head to toe. Why in Japan and other places people are fixing even this mat this thing we're wearing here. The children of primary school, they are working on this. They are manufacturing this. We are here naming parts of things. The sea route to India was discovered Vasco da Gama. We are memorizing it. And they say wheat cultivation or the hanging gardens in California. What are all these for? You go to Europe and you ask people about even places in Africa, they ask you, what is all that about? Does that put food on the table? It is not their issue. Their issue is to invent, to innovate, to create. This is the kind of educational system that we want in Cameroon. That you don't come in a lecture hall, the teacher comes and start saying, use only my notes. And even if you find the GC markers, they mark only their notes.
Exactly.
Yes, they mark their note. They say, if I'm marking and I don't see this word, I'm marking it wrong. Meaning that they do not believe that a child can be able to be so intuitive and think. Yes, that is right. And give in new formulation to something. They don't believe in that. That is why I cry like Alan Pattern. Cry, beloved country. Let us do an educational reformulation. And that if we do this, Cameroon will evolve.
Okay. I'll read what the president said. He says, we will also submit to Parliament some reforms to enhance the state's efficiency by adapting our institutions to the demands of our environment. Where do we need this? Do you expect to see these reforms implemented?
Where or when?
Where? At what level? When the president says we are going to present to the Parliament to engage institutional reforms.
Normally, he will send it in the form to the Parliament in the form of a bill, and then when they will have to vote the bill, and then he passes it into law. That will be at that stage. But you see, the Cameroon Parliament is it's not strong enough. Reasons because the ruling party dominates. And so any bill that goes to Parliament, they don't even weigh the process. They don't even look at the objectivity. They don't look at what that bill is going to solve. The problem the bill is going to solve. They don't look at the long term, the short term, or the immediate effect, the long term, and how far it can last. They just vote the bill because it is coming from the president, who is the president of their party. That is the problem with Cameroon Parliament. We think that for bills to be objective and to serve the purpose, we have to have a full parliament made up of many oppositions, that it is not the ruling parties that dominates that parliament. Because remember, the bill that will be voted and that will later be passed into law will be that have to affect, will be implemented on Cameroonians and have to affect all Cameroonians alike, equally. It will not discriminate whether this is a CPDM or this is a opposition. No, it will not do that. So let them start by next year. Let the elections be very transparent, so that anybody who is going into the parliament is actually representative of the people.
Are you saying that a reform should start at the level of Elecam?
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Yes. It has to let us have a full parliament where the voice of everybody matters. But yes, it is always problematic when majority is coming from the ruling party. We see what is coming to America, what Congress put forth, and what the executive, the Democrats, the Republicans, once they are not at ad idem, that bill is hanging in the air and will not be taken into, it will not be in that reform. Youth inclusion, it is not only about recruitment. Youth inclusion in the daily affairs and management of the states. Yes, they should be part and parcel of it, because when they told me, in fact, President Biya came to power when I was in primary 2, and we were told that we are the future. Today we are the future. We still have no say to change the socio-economic political dynamics of the state. Youth should be included. Youth parliament, they should send even reforms to, like bills to youth parliament. And before then, you should have educated the youth on what it means that you pass a bill, you vote for. So that, because it affects their future. So they should not be Maywords, and they should not be reforms that is for the time being. It should have the immediate goal, the midterm goal, the long-term goal. And it should be sustainable, and they should be achievable, not vague possibilities. Yes, like we hear Mr. Joshua Usi, when he was here, he said even the finance bill or the finance law, even the minister of it would take the minister of finance 2 years to study law, which means that he needs a professorial degree to be able to interpret the finance law. But then you ask, when all the deputies sat and they voted that law, and then it went even to the upper house, how come that now the implementation is so problematic? It means that they didn't, first of all, even know what they were voting for. And that is why you see the problematic in a parliament that is dominated by the ruling party. Those are the problematics. So a lot have to be done, but you can do it within a very short time.
A lot has to be done. You can do it within a short time. Now, Dr. Ndimancho, can Cameroonians truly dream again after listening to the president yesterday?
Of course.
Are there good reasons to dream?
Of course. As I said, if we remain at the level of the speech, the rhetorics, the beautiful speech, the semiology, the aesthetics of the speech, of the reading of the speech, then we have every hope to dream. Because if we were in a context whereby the speech is backed by action, then we can be able to dream. Because I understand that the President of the Republic touched almost on every sphere that is of interest to the day-to-day life of Cameroonians. Because he touched on education, he touched on security, he touched on the economy, he touched on infrastructure. So, I mean, I think that these are issues that matter in a country. And that if he means his very words, then we have a reason to dream for better days. Like the question I started asking at the beginning of this program was whether it is going to be different from those that he made in the last 7 years mandate that he had. Because it's a problem that sometimes, politics is an issue that sometimes you don't take people word verbatim. You just take them with a pinch of salt. You just know that those are just words that are meant to bring people closer, to lure people, to cajole people in one way or the other, because that's also one reason about politics. And where did he make that speech? In the parliament. Parliament coming from the French word. Parle, a man, means that what? Speak your lies. That is what happens. He spoke in the parliament. So if we take all of these things into perspective, in the context, then we'll understand that we may not have any reason to dream. Because if we take from the past, because sometimes we want to do the review of the literature of his speeches, if we take from since 1992, 1997, 2004, 2011, 2018 speeches, which of course have not been incarnated into real goods and services, not been incarnated into serviceable actions, then we can say that we don't have any hope to dream. If we take into consideration these past years that things have been snailing, that Cameroonians have not really been satisfied, we are asking whether it is this 8th time that we will have hopes. Well, except we will say that we are living, and everyone who lives with hope, and that Bible the theologians, they tell us our hope will never fail us. And we think that if we believe that there is always a first time, which of course I'm one of those who believe that there is always a first time, then I believe that there is hope. Because I think that at one moment, if someone was changed from a very, very bad situation to that of winning souls for God, it means that we can also think that someone has faith and he can come back to God and he can come back to the people. I'm talking about Saul. Now Paul, who was changed drastically and started preaching for God. It means that someone who has faith, at one moment we think that I have failed these people. So we are at the mercy of the President of the Republic, that he can decide that at this point in time, Cameroonians have cried for so long and their eyes are almost bulging out, and that he has said, where are my people? Don't cry again. I have decided that this I don't want to say last mandate, because as I said earlier, it is now God who is in control, that this time around I am going to make amends, and that my people will not yearn for any water again to drink. My people will not yearn for electricity any longer. They will not suffer because of bad roads. The educational system will be better off, and that I want to make my own country an El Dorado, and I leave a legacy of a president who once had 8 mandates and who is breaking the record, who is creating and at the same time breaking the record of being at least the oldest president in the world, which is great. There are very few presidents in this world who live up to 90 years, which of course I look at it also positive, that God loves the president, our president, and that if God loves him, he should reciprocate this love by
Back to the
giving,
people.
by spreading out, you know, acting the pelican and spreading it out to Cameroonians and saying, my people, I have realized the love of God, and this love, I cannot mismanage it. I cannot waste it. I will not throw it in the dustbin. This love, I am going to spread it out. And before I go, I want to leave this legacy that I was once your president. And of course, something significant has happened this time around, where we enact our laws. The parliament has named a beautiful edifice in the name of the president, President Paul Biya Glass House. Why didn't this happen some years back? It happened only now. It means that if we look at all of these aspects, we think that it's always the first time, and that the first time may be this 7 years mandate, and that as he has started taking his government ministers into task, he has started taking the elite to task, he has started taking the chiefs and the funds and the lamida to task. We believe that this task that is given them is a task of do or die.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu and the panel members. Succinct analysis, Grand Sir. Kudos to you. Immaculate is writing from Bamenda.
Yes,
this one says, in my opinion, the first step to stop corruption is to close all these churches. Okay. Good evening, sir. I'm writing from Limbe. My name is Tala. I love what you people are really insisting on because it also touches my heart. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's true. What Barrister is saying is true. Last week, Friday, my son was picked up at 6:30 p.m. here in Yaoundé. He was asked to show ID card. He had the receipt and he showed it. Yet he was locked that it was old. I had to pay 20,000 francs. He was released. Sent Princess G is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm glad you're talking about corruption. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I really enjoy your program. The rate of corruption is very high in our country. The people of China are not different from Cameroon. Please, something must be done. Alice is watching from Mundemba. Keep it up. Thank you, Alice. And to all of you watching us from Mundemba, Ikondo Titi, in fact, the whole of Nzian division. Good evening. Special greetings to you. Not forgetting you, Queen Sheba Harmony, who should be watching us from Limbe, Chief Town of Ako Division. Good evening, my dear brother. Mr. Tisate from Babungo. Please, I'm not against you guys, but just want to ask if there is anyone of you there who has not involved in corruption. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Thanks very much for this wonderful program. It's only God Almighty alone that can deliver Cameroon. Okay. Yes, but Barrister.
Yes, Mr. Liu.
Most of these guys who wanted to be president said, first 100 days, this is what I am going to do. Much focus was on the Anglophone crisis. What do you want to see happen? What do you want to see accomplished by the President of the Republic during his first 100 days of this 8th mandate?
The head of state has all what it takes to end the Anglophone crisis. Because when the Anglophone crisis erupted, they thought that it was just, they took, you know, the notion of the 2 cubes of sugar. But along the line, it affected the whole nation because the supply chain of the nation, there was handicapped because of the crisis. I think that the head of state, like he has given the charge to the funds, the elites, I think that is a good deal. But like I said, to the funds, they need to re-empower them and take them out of politics. But to his political elites, that challenge is huge in their hands. And I think that they stand in the position to handle the crisis. It means that he knows that they can handle the crisis. And we pray, who does not want peace? Until you live in a situation of chaos. Just look what happened in Douala for 1 week. Cameroonians were like they were like those who were held in captivity in Babylon. They were like Babylonians in they were like the children of Israel held by the king of Babylon in the Bible. So everybody wants peace, and without peace, what will you do? There is no way a nation can strive in chaos. There is no way a nation can strive is one part. In fact, the nation is like the human body. You cannot say it's just my finger, because when your finger is cut off or your finger has a wound, it will affect the way you bath your body. It will affect the way you carry on with your activities. So I just pray that he takes it seriously and does the needful. Because like Cameroonians, every Cameroonians, we want peace, we want peace. Without peace, nothing can be achieved, nothing can be done. So this particular aspect, Northwest is already there. The Grand North is now a bubbling point, and it is now like the focal point. It's like nothing again is happening in the Northwest. It's like what will happen in the Grand North, if care is not taken, will be worse than ever seen in Cameroon. So let this aspect of peace be taken seriously. Let the elites do their best, the political elites, let them do their best to bring back their regions, their constituencies to order in the same manner that they put it in order to get the votes that they took and that represented the Northwest and the Southwest. The same way they went into the interior to collect the votes, and that nobody disturbed the process. It means that they know how to handle the voices at that level. Let them handle the voices always. If one day, Mr. Liu, I can get up on Monday morning and I drive to Bamenda and I meet life, and then something would have been achieved. If we know the after
aménagement du gouvernement, that reshuffle of the government, yes, we need that, because this is a new president and the president should come in with his new cabinet ministers. That is what we expect, and that pain should be used, and we expect the youth to get into the new government. We expect the women to get into the new government. We want to have a new government of injected blood of youth and women. Thank God the president even spoke much about the youth and women yesterday in his speech, which was very, very important. So we think that that speech should be translated into an act, and that act should be felt in this new reshuffle of government to actually let the youth be able to prove. Because you see, the world is changing today due to the aspiration, due to the zest, due to the zeal of the youth, and therefore we want the youth to get this new government. What they have been complaining about, we want to see them put that to place. Let them accompany the president with the new blood and get in. So this is the first thing we are expecting. Now, the second thing we are expecting is also to see the president much more with the people than living a secluded life. I think the president was voted for the people. If the people voted him, it means that the people want to see him, and therefore he should not run away or hide away from the people. This is what I expect. I expect to see much more intensified visit into the localities by the president. That the people should feel that they have a president whom they voted, and not that impression of thinking that it is somebody else who is governing Cameroon. He should dissipate it.
Exactly.
Yes, let him show forth himself and say, I am in control. As he has said, La paix régnera. Let it be, enforce it, and tell the people that it is me who is going to sustain that order that he has talked about in Cameroon. I think that these two aspects in life, and then there should be a proper follow-up of the people that he is going to appoint. Let the president be able to receive his ministers. Let him be able to, be in touch with those who govern, that he has given responsibility to. Because when you have a minister who stays, like a minister after rightly said, that they don't see the president of the republic. That is a very, very important, a serious remark that was made by Mayor Issa Chiroma. And I think that it is important that the president now make himself, let him act as a scarecrow. That's what the barrister was saying, that we found a person like John Magufuli would come into the public, we even come out and people don't even know that he was coming. We also had that with Amado Ahijo. Of course, many people were doing it, but they were just getting about it. Where Amado Ahijo would get into the town and just surprise people. It is important. These surprise visits are also important from the boss, so that it keeps people awake and on their jobs.
Okay.
It's very important.
Thank you very much for coming, Dr. Michael.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kum. And I must end by saying that all is not yet settled. The dust is not settled. And we want the President of the Republic to work hard to broker the peace. Remember, 53% voted for him, 53.66 voted for him. About 40-something didn't vote for him. But now, he is the president of those who voted for him and those who did not vote for him. So it is important for him to make peace, to make amends. Because it shows that there are still some people who are not happy that he is there. But it is now his responsibility, having taken over power, to appease and let. Now you realize, because we have a problem with these last days, we don't have meat in the market. I don't know whether you are going to the market to buy meat. And did you ask yourself why there is scarcity of meat? It is because the people from the all north are blocking the road from cows coming down. We saw Cameco transporting onions. For how long are we going to go with that? So we think that these are some salient points and salient issues that is going to broker us peace and let the people know that you didn't vote for me, but I am still your president. Come on the table, negotiation table, let us be able to build this beautiful country. After all, it is still a beautiful country. I don't hope to ever take another nationality.
Okay, thank you too, Barrister Akwen, for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Liu, for inviting me. It was quite an insightful topic. And to our audience, I hope they are happy with our output here. And to the head of state, I will wish that he takes this issue of peace as a priority, as top on his agenda, but should caution his collaborators to stop using the repressive measures. The measures are not working, and that they should take it kindly with Cameroonians. We are their brothers, and we are their sisters, and they are in those offices to take care of Cameroonians, and we are the people that they are seated in that office to take care of. So they should stop looking at us, at other Cameroonians, as if they are enemies. Cameroonians are not enemies of the state. We have a right to, Cameroonians have a right to differ. If they didn't belong to the ruling party, now President Biya is the president of all Cameroonians. So let his collaborators in the field stop using repressive measures on Cameroonians, but treat Cameroonians with love and with dignity, respecting their human rights, because without the citizens there will be no appointments, because there will be no people for you to work. If you send all the people to prison, if you take them all to the camps and you incarcerate them, who will you be living with? So everybody is very important, and that is how a government should function. And I want to tell the head of state that, okay, if things he needs youth inclusion, I am still a youth. Women inclusion, I am a woman. I think that
and you are ready for the job.
Yes, I'm ready to work with all severeness. Yes, and to do the work according to the job description and according to the best of my
ability
and my ability. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and to all of you for watching. We wish you a great weekend across all the 10 regions of Cameroon and also out of this country. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.